Nebraska has cultivated a reputation as the schmoozing state, where ingratiating and strategically deceptive communication serves as the prevailing mechanism for social, political, and economic advancement. This practice extends far beyond ordinary courtesy or networking. In Nebraska, schmoozing operates as a calculated instrument of influence that prioritizes personal or group advantage over transparency and mutual respect. What presents itself as friendly engagement frequently functions as a subtle mechanism for manipulation, enabling individuals to extract benefits while evading accountability. This cultural pattern undermines genuine community and perpetuates a cycle in which deceptive relational tactics are normalized and rewarded, shaping the state's identity more profoundly than its agricultural heritage or regional traditions. Political mechanisms and hierarchical networks. In the domains of politics and governance, schmoozing facilitates patterns of conduct that compromise institutional integrity. Operators employ layered ingratiation to shape decisions, secure favorable treatment, and neutralize scrutiny within the unicameral legislature and broader state apparatus. Delegated participants, functioning as intermediaries or proxies, conduct the direct engagement, advancing agendas on behalf of those in positions of greater influence while absorbing social exposure. This hierarchical arrangement, with master orchestrators at the apex directing lieutenants and frontline actors, allows questionable practices to proceed with reduced resistance. Networks built on reciprocal flattery and strategic rapport create environments in which accountability is diffused and self-interest prevails, turning public service into an extension of impression management. Economic practices and professional reinforcement. Business and commercial spheres in Nebraska amplify the reliance on schmoozing as a core operational strategy. From Omaha's corporate environments to rural agribusiness networks, professionals engage in visibility-focused interactions at mixers, chambers of commerce events, and informal gatherings where surface rapport paves the way for deals and opportunities. Professions centered on relationship management, including sales, public affairs, real estate, and community leadership, naturally concentrate individuals skilled in these techniques. The emphasis on calculated charm over substantive merit sustains economic hierarchies in which benefits accrue disproportionately to those adept at navigating unspoken expectations of reciprocity, limiting genuine competition and innovation. Social and cultural patterns of influence. Social and cultural norms in Nebraska further embed these dynamics under the veneer of regional hospitality. The prevailing emphasis on agreeable interaction often serves as a form of passive influence that discourages open dissent and reinforces conformity across small towns and urban centers alike. New arrivals and outsiders may encounter initial warmth that transitions into selective inclusion or quiet marginalization when expectations of reciprocity remain unmet. This pattern sustains insularity as interactions remain oriented toward maintaining established hierarchies rather than fostering authentic exchange. Performative agreeability thus functions as a mechanism that obscures underlying motives and leaves individuals vulnerable to exploitation presented as neighborly conduct. Operational dimensions and variations in practice. The organizational structure of schmoozing in Nebraska reveals clear progressions of proficiency and intensity. Central figures orchestrate broader networks with strategic subtlety, while effectiveness ranges from refined calibration that integrates listening and mutual framing to less polished attempts marked by noticeable redirection. Practices vary along continua of overt visibility at public events and covert direction in private settings, with aggressive steering or subtle suggestion employed according to context. These operational dimensions allow the practice to adapt across situations, sustaining influence pyramids in which delegated actors perform relational labor and outcomes are measured by advantage secured rather than relationships strengthened. Diagnostic indicators and psychological underpinnings. Diagnostic indicators of schmoozing appear consistently in behavioral and linguistic patterns throughout the state. Observable mannerisms may include carefully modulated openness, synchronized gestures, or expressions conveying engagement without full emotional reciprocity. Verbal exchanges frequently incorporate alignment statements, complementary framing, gradual redirection toward desired objectives, and seamless integration into routine conversation. The underlying psychological orientation treats social interaction as a transactional process, with participants demonstrating varying levels of awareness from deliberate strategy to habitual application. Primary motivations center on positional advantage, control, validation, and stability within competitive or insular contexts, revealing a mindset that views others primarily as resources within calculated exchanges. Conclusion: the long-term consequences for Nebraska. Nebraska's characterization as the schmoozing state offers a sobering reflection on the consequences of institutionalizing such practices. The reliance on ingratiation as a primary mode of engagement diminishes the value of candor and erodes foundational trust across political, economic, and social domains. By normalizing strategic deception, the state's prevailing culture sustains patterns that compromise fairness, limit opportunity for those outside established networks, and shield problematic behavior from appropriate examination. Schmoozing, in this context, functions not as benign sociability, but as a mechanism that enables exploitation while presenting an appearance of congeniality. Addressing these entrenched patterns requires greater emphasis on transparency, direct accountability, and relational standards grounded in substance rather than performance. Until such shifts occur, Nebraska will continue to exemplify how pervasive schmoozing corrodes institutional health and communal well-being, serving as a cautionary case study in the long-term societal effects of prioritizing calculated influence over integrity.